I'll call the meeting to order at 6:33. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flags over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
George Cullis.
Yes.
Karen Winchester here. Jennifer Ryan.
Here.
Derek Burton.
Here.
Ryan Matson.
Here.
Michael McCanny.
Here.
Richard Kinnaman.
Here. Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Winchester. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Burton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The consent agenda. Jen, will you read that?
Yeah. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial and do not require discussion by the Township Board, but will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired on an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be automatically moved to the last item under new business.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
And motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Winchester, support
Support.
by Matson. Roll call, please.
Derek Burton.
Yes.
Jennifer Ryan.
Yes.
Richard Kinnaman.
Yes.
Michael McCanny.
Yes.
Karen Winchester, yes. Ryan Matson.
Yes.
George Cullis.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Public hearings, we have none. That'll move us to presentations by Joe Mishler on the District Library. James, do we have a microphone or not?
It's actually on the podium.
Okay.
Looks like something you dust off with. Hi, I'm Joe Mishler. Do I need to
You
get my
need to
address?
hold the microphone.
Yes.
620 Academy Road, Holly, Michigan.
Joe? James, does he need to hold it?
No,
Okay.
only if he starts moving around.
I won't move around, honest. I don't want to get hit by any hail. So I'm here on behalf of the Holly Township Library. I'm the vice president of the library, and with me is the president of the library, Amber, and Greg, who is the librarian. And we're here just to give you some information. We are considering becoming a district library. And before I go any further, we have taken no action other than we have created a subcommittee to research and look into and eventually make a recommendation to the library board as to whether or not to go forward with a district library. So I say all of that because I think it's important for you to recognize that nothing has been done other than a lot of research. We've done town hall meetings. We've done 2 of them, which were very successful. We are in the process of going around and talking to the different township boards, and you're on our list. We are looking at creating a district library that contains Holly Township, Village of Holly, Groveland Township, and Rose Township, which would also include a large portion of the school district, but the school district is not one of the municipalities that we're looking at, probably for financial reasons. Why would we want to become a district library? I was interviewed today by a couple different newspapers, and it was kind of interesting. They asked, that was their very first question. And I said, okay, number one, we're growing. We've been growing. We do a tremendous number of programs and services. And just to give you an example, our teen program, I'm going to use this word, and I think it's the only word that really works, over the last 2 years has exploded. We've gone from having like 2 or 3 kids in the teen program to having 40 or 50. On top of that, as you are aware, maybe you're not, the high school and middle school did away with their libraries. I don't know why. No one has really given me an answer lately. But the library, Holly Township Library under Jessica, has moved into the high school, and now every high school kid in the Holly School District has a library card for Holly Township Library. They can get books. We take books over to the high school. They can bring the books back to the high school, and we go get them, pick them up, or they can bring them to the library. We're currently working on the middle school. Now, if you've ever been there for our story program, which is on Thursday and Friday, there's a lot of people that attend the little kids story program. And Debbie does an outstanding job with that program. So that program in itself too is expanding. Plus, we do a lot of presentations. Different people come in and do different things at the library. Right now we have ARP in there, and I understand that all but one day is filled up, and that day is almost filled up. They do taxes. So we are doing a lot of different things. We've also just recently, last November, went through a major remodel of the library. And if you've been in there, if you've been in before and now you go in now, you'll see there's an immense difference in the library. It's far more open. Things are easily more accessed, and those really heavy chairs all over the place are gone. You know, the ones that kill you when you sit on them for more than a half hour. They're gone. And the place has been repainted. There's been a lot of different things, a lot of changes. And all of that was done talking to the staff, having the staff involvement, and also as part of our strategic plan. But the big thing is, another thing that's happening at the library is the food pantry. As you know, things are not well in a lot of places. Food pantries are stretched and stressed and whatever, and that's bringing a lot of people in. So we are probably in need of expanding the services that we provide. The other thing is autonomy. We would like to stand alone. We would like to be a complete municipality without having sort of to be under the umbrella of anybody. And that would allow us to fully and completely make our own decisions and create our own money issues that we would need. And the third thing, we contract with Rose and Groveland. Now, in Rose and Groveland, they pay $2 a person for our services. That doesn't even begin to cover the bill for some of the services that we are providing. So we are looking at a couple of things with that, is to see if they would be willing, when we sit down to do the agreement, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But before we do that, we would like to give them the opportunity to have representation on the district library board, something they don't have now. They contract with us, but they don't have any representation. A district library, if it's set up correctly, would straighten that out. And all of the municipalities would have representation instead of just the Holly Township. I know when I say Holly Township, I also include the village. So those would be three of the main things. One, to become autonomy. A second, to expand our services. Third, to provide and enable some of these other outer townships to have representation. And those would be three of the main things. Right now, we levy 1.31 mills. And that allowed us to do the remodeling plus stay within budget. But at this point, we could do better. So we would have to go into these outer townships and see if they're interested. Now, I'm going to tell you the process, and you can read the law. I have a copy of the law with me. I'm not going to get into all the intricate details, but I will tell you what the process is. This actually, what we're doing right now is not really part of the process. What we're doing now is the part of the library process to get to the point where we can make a decision. And once we make a decision, if we decide to go, then the real process begins. And that real process is spelled out very clearly in the library law. You can look it up. You can print it off online. You can, all that kind of stuff. They'll even give you a summary sheet. But what happens first, if the library board decides to go to a district library, we would do kind of like what we're doing now. We would go to each municipality, which would include the Village of Holly, Holly Township, Rose, and Groveland. We would go to their boards, and we would ask them, and this is part one of the process, to approve a resolution in favor of going to a district library. Now, once that's done, and I realize if somebody doesn't want to go, that kind of changes the plan a little bit, but let's just say for the sake of argument, everybody says, okay, you get to pick a representative, or maybe two, to be on what is called the District Planning Committee. The District Planning Committee meets, I don't know how many times they would meet, and I don't know how long it would take. I've heard different stories of different libraries. But the Planning Committee is the one who creates the district library agreement. That is the heart and soul of district libraries. And that agreement includes all of the financial, what each element, each municipality would pay. It includes how you want to set up the board. You could either do an appointed or you could do an elected. It also spells out a lot of other things. It could spell out services. It could spell out all of that. And that has to be agreed upon by the 5 municipalities that are involved. Again, the 3 townships, the village, and the Holly Township Library. They would have to write one of these agreements, agree to it, and the next part of that process is that the agreement goes to the attorneys. Now, according to state law, all of the municipalities get a say in this. Not only do they get a say in having somebody on a planning thing, but they get a say in terms of the legality of it. So you get lawyers involved, and they're going to put the right wording in and boilerplate and all that happy stuff that they do. Then it goes back to the municipalities, and once that's done, it gets the agreement, including the map of what you're going to include. Now, I just want to stop for a second. We did not include the school district. If you've ever looked at a map of the school district, I'm not exactly sure how that was done. I know how it was done, but it always amazes me because on one side it looks like a checkerboard, and on another side it's crazy. And There are some disputed areas in terms of libraries, and we just felt that if we took in the whole school district, that might be a battle we don't want. Because you got Springfield, Davisburg sets in Springfield, they could be served by, and they are served by the Springfield Library. You've got a similar issue down in Groveland, and some parts are covered by Brandon. So we avoided the school district. So we would send in, once this is all done, we would send this to the state librarian, who has 30 days to decide whether or not the agreement is a good agreement, whether or not the plan, the actual map and whatever works. And then if they don't like it, they send it back and say, you need to do this, here are the problems, fix them. So that would bring the planning committee back together, and whatever problems that they pointed out, we would fix. And then again, it would go back to them. So, but let's just say for sake of argument, they agree. One of the things they look at is financing. How will this district be financed? If you choose to go, like let's say all the participants agree to go to a proportional thing, where Township A will give X amount, Township B will give X amount, so on and so forth. Or you could go for a millage. Now the millage is a little more complicated. If you go for the proportional amount or some other financial arrangement, you don't have to have a vote. But if you're asking for a millage, let's say just for sake of discussion, in the agreement they all say, okay, 1 mil works. All right, so what would happen is if the state librarian agrees to it and sends it back, you put it on the ballot. 2 things would go on the ballot: the millage and those running for the library board, which you can have up to 7 members. And it can either, according to the agreement, be at large, or you could figure out some sort of other arrangement. But that's what would go on the ballot. Now, the state of Michigan doesn't really care who you elect, or if you really actually elect a board. What they care about is what happens to the millage. If the millage passes, then you become a district library. If the millage doesn't, either start over or stay with what you're doing. Now let's say it passes. All right, there would now become negotiations between the board from the existing library with the new board in terms of all the property, equipment, assets, staff, all of that kind of stuff would then have to be transferred over to the new library board. And then the new library board would take over. Now, if you're gonna ask me if there's a timetable, I can't really give you a timetable because, as you know, if you're dealing with multiple municipalities and you're going to meetings, that's gonna take several months. I don't know how long it takes to write an agreement. I've read probably 6 or 8 agreements from around the state. Some of them are as much as 100 pages long. And I don't know, I think somebody with a red pencil could go through and cut it down to about 40. But there's no time frame on any of this. It may take them a month, it may take them a couple of months. Then you get with the lawyers, so keep adding it up. It could be another year before the district library would be in a position to get put on the ballot. But that's what the process is. Now, in our town halls that we've had, there have been a lot of really good questions come up concerning services, concerning millage, concerning what are you going to do for us? You folks are lucky if you live in Holly Township. every one of our services is open to you. You can just go to the library and you can participate. Groveland and Rose, that's a different story. So it could be part of the agreement, could be that if the library becomes in existence, we could take services out there because now we would have better funding. So those are some of the things that came up at some of the different town hall meetings. Now, just in case for some of you who are interested, we have according to our strategic plan, which was done in 24, this is part of the plan. There was some thought way back then that we should consider expanding, and here's how we should do it. So at that point, I'm going to stop. If you have any questions or I didn't say something clearly and you need it explained, I'd be happy to do that.
All right, I'll start with Mr. Kinnaman.
Nothing.
Mr. Burke?
So I do have a question regarding, because you had mentioned a couple other libraries. Like the way I know, because I'm from Genesee County, and like every city is almost intertwined, so you can go to any library. Have you looked into agreements where they could come to this one and, you know, like the 3 nearest libraries all kind of partner?
Well, we currently, we are part of the Michigan Electronic Library, MEL,
Okay.
which you can come if you can either go online or you can come to the library and they'd help you. You can order a book and it'll be in about a week. You can go over to Fenton and do the same thing. I have library cards for the Fenton Genesee District Library and the Flint Public Library. So I can technically get books from those.
Okay.
Now, we just moved to what's called the Library Network, which is supposedly a bigger network, and they have access to more resources, books, and whatever. We've just went to that, and the library is in the process right now. If you go in there now, you'll see some of the friends of the library pushing carts around and setting at tables and doing the recoding of all the books. That's one of the big steps to moving toward the library network. But Genesee District, you can get a card there. The problem is, if you don't live in that county, the card is only good for getting books, audiobooks, movies, that kind of stuff. You cannot get, unless you want to pay, access to research databases. I found that out the hard way a couple weeks ago. I thought I had a card and I could do anything. And, okay, that was a wrong concept on my part. Now, you can get a card to the Flint Public Library and they don't care. You can get into all their databases because they're not part of the Genesee District, and that is a county-wide district library. I forget how many libraries.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
There's a lot of libraries.
Yeah.
And it's a good system for them, but we're not looking to become a county library.
Right.
That's like,
So for programming, for example, so say Miss Debbie goes to Alpaca Farm, they're doing a story out there. Can people from other libraries go to that and say ours seem to be geared heavily, we have teens, we have young adults, maybe there's another one that's geared towards seniors, so that those services like seniors from here can go to another one, the kids if they want to come to some of the programming here in Holly that may not be members of the district. Like I don't know if you have to be a member of the district to use the services back and forth, or if there's some kind of like agreement, I guess. You see where I'm kind of trying to go?
I'm coming, yeah,
Okay.
I understand. That might be something to look into, but right now, anybody can come to any program.
Okay.
Now, programming, I'll throw one back at you. Programming in the agreement could mean the district library takes programs to Rose and Groveland. Let's say we start a senior program out of Groveland. It could mean that. We can't do that now because we don't have the money to pay staff and pay the other expenses that might happen. Right now, we're doing a couple of small things, you know, taking books and that sort of stuff. But still, they're only paying $2. They're not paying anything else for it, which for them is probably a good deal. But I have gone to programs for the Genesee District Library, and I don't live there. So, and I've gone to programs at the Flint Public, and I don't live there.
Okay.
So,
If I may interject, as Joe said, I'm Greg, the library director. As Joe said, we recently joined the TLN Consortium of Libraries, which is the largest consulting commission.
Greg, can I get you to come up to the podium, please?
You know how shy I am, George.
Well, but the cameras, for the people that are at home, so they know who's talking to us.
We recently
Introduce
joined,
yourself first, please.
Gregory Hayes, 6708 Bluefield Drive, Linden, Michigan. Thank you.
And you're the library director. We're on camera, so I just want people to know who's talking.
We recently joined the TLN Cooperative, and Genesee District Library is a member of that, as is Lansing, Heartland area. What that gives you is if you're a GDL member, you can walk into Holly and check out books and use all of our resources. As Joe said, all of our programming is free. I've never checked an ID for somebody that wants to come into story time, and I never will. You know, that's for the community.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that it? Mr.
Thank you.
I'll stay right here.
Karen?
Anybody else? I'm sorry, George.
I'm working the board here. Jen,
No, I don't have any questions.
Mr. Mattson.
You're mentioning programs desired. What specific programs have been communicated that are of need amongst the municipalities in question?
What programs have we done?
No, like what do you want to expand to do? What is it that folks are asking for as far as programs?
We have had a very strong, had a very strong request for, of course the word eludes you when you stand up.
Yeah.
Programming as in computer programming for children and 3D printing. That all falls under an umbrella of the word I can't think of. Maybe you can.
Electronic, digital,
Technical.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like a STEM, maybe.
Thank you,
You know.
thank you. We've had a lot of requests for STEM programming. We've had a lot of requests for more musical programming at the library. We've had a lot of requests for learning how to do podcasts, things like that, ancestry searches and things. I think that's everything. We try to do outreach to all of our work groups. As Joe said, the AARP every year comes and does free taxes. Like us, they don't check ID, they don't check age, it's just call us up and we'll come and do that. We have had an increase in the number of homeless people that have come into the library, and we've worked both with the township and the village to try and accommodate those folks and find resources for them. And again, with Joe's help, we have tried to provide more services for veterans groups. I'm shutting up.
You're doing fine. Well, I will tell you about services. We have people who go, like for instance, Holly Woodlands. We take a lot of programs over there. A lot of those programs involve storytelling for adults. They involve programs that involve other sorts of things, which I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, we take a number of programs over there. The library has some specific departments. One is the little kids, which some of you, if you got little kids, you've probably been over there. We have the teens, and then we have adults. And we also do movie nights. We had for quite a while there an evening where people with autistic children could come into the library without all the other people there and learn how to use the library and get used to being in a library. And they had a number of people who did that. There have been poetry readings. There have been, we also have a number of groups and organizations that meet at the library. The Holly Education Foundation, which doesn't have an office, they meet there regularly, and so do other groups. So there are a lot of different things that are happening. And we'd like to be able to offer those services. If you created a district library in the area that I'm talking about, we'd like to be able to provide those kinds of things out there to Groveland and to Rose, because it would make it would be better service for their people, for the people who live out there. Because you got a lot of older people, you've got a lot of people with handicaps, that sort of stuff. It makes it kind of tough to drive and go. So if you had it out in those areas, that would be a service to them. And those are the kinds of things that we would like to begin to do. And well, it's one possibility, I should say. But there are a lot of other services. I had a lost it. I'll just tell you. Yeah. Okay. We do things like, for instance, you got the story hour, the teen program. There's a Dungeons and Dragon night. There are a lot of other things. One of the best things that we have going, in addition to all the other, is the Friends of the Library. They do a lot for us. As you know, if you're around the library right before Christmas, they do the Christmas basket program. You can bid on it and see if you can win it. I bid on 5 of them this year. I don't win any of them. I don't know if it's just my bad luck streak, but all of that money goes into the library. And that group, they come from all over. They come from Rose and Groveland and Holly. So there's a lot of that sort of thing. And just so you're aware, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, we have 9,831 patrons, people with actual library cards. Holly Township has 5,216 people. Groveland has 1,477. Rose has 1,431. High school has 1,700. Oh, Holly Schools. Okay, Holly Schools. But that's sort of a breakdown of what we have.
Gotcha.
And I think if you look at it, I think the school district is about 30,000 residents, roughly, give or take a few. We have about 1/3 of that are patrons at the library. And those, go ahead.
You mentioned people coming to you with the ideas for programs and making comment, talking about the different things. What other modes of data collection have you done to get feedback as far as what programs, and did that include the municipalities in question, like a survey, email, like what sort of other data collection points have you done?
Well, we've done the town hall meetings. We have been going to meetings, and those meetings, like I've been listening very carefully to the questions that are being asked here, and that gives us a lot of information as to what people are thinking and maybe might be interested in. So that's where we're getting a lot of the information in. And we realized at the last meeting that we need to do town halls out in Groveland and Rose Township. And we are planning to do that probably sometime the end of March, early April. Awesome. And we are in the process of contacting Springfield Library and Brandon Library because they're directly affected by what we might do.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
You answered my next question, so thank you with the number of patrons per municipality. But do memberships ever expire? What's sort of the, like, rollover on those? How current are these users that you've provided me those numbers
I think
for?
this number is fairly current because in moving to the TLN, we had to provide statistics and data to them. And this is part of it. But you know, that's all in flux because people die, people move, that kind of stuff. But as things are happening here in Holly, as you know, there is sort of a migration to Holly, or well, to this area. And we're getting a lot of those kind of people.
Specifically, library cards expire in 3 years.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Got it.
So then, as Joe said, the numbers are,
My cards have never expired.
we take care of you. Alluding to something Joe said, I didn't mean to interrupt your questioning.
No, go ahead here.
It's also about equity. Probably, I'm not a numbers guy, 85 to 90% of our budget comes from your constituents. And it would be nice that everybody had some cash in that fight.
You had mentioned wanting some autonomy for decision-making, budgetary things like that. I've been on this board for a little over a year now. I don't know that we've ever had a request from the township library come in front of us where we've had to approve or deny anything. So what are the fears or desire to have autonomy when I feel like you already have it?
We have it, I would say, mostly, but we don't have it completely. And as you know, there's some rumblings of change in the area, and one of the things that we don't want to have happen is to have a new municipality become formed or something, and then they decide, okay, maybe we want to take over the library. That might be something that we like. Now, the township does sign checks, right?
Yes, and it's an interesting thing. If you read the law, we're obligated to do that. But we have no say over who those checks are written to. The checks come into our office, it's my understanding, they land on the desk, we sign them, and you turn around and walk out.
Yeah.
We don't even have any paperwork that tells us that the check is supposed to be written. In other words, it doesn't come in with a copy of the minutes that says these have been approved by the board. It's a very odd law. And we've asked the question before, why are we signing these checks? Because if somebody were to come back and enter into an issue of fraud, we would never know anyway. Because
Every
we're
check
just,
comes with a voucher.
Yeah, he
Um,
brings invoices and everything.
yeah, but I'm just saying, we're not part of that. We don't see the board
No.
approval.
No, we've
And
all,
I'm only saying that because I keep hearing this word autonomy thrown out, and we literally have nothing over anything the library board does.
we've
Other
had
than we
an
hold the
excellent
money.
relationship with the township.
It's just that the state law says we have to hold the money.
Right.
So I
The other power you have is if all my board members ran away, you guys would appoint a new board.
well, but that's not autonomy, that's abandonment, and we're stuck with it.
You are our establishment.
Yeah, I'm gonna get lucky, I'm not running away.
Okay. No, but
Many-
I'm just
many years
saying
ago-
the word autonomy insinuates that we govern over certain aspects, and we do not. So it's an interesting, but one of the reasons I went by the board the way I haven't, if you're not done, or if you're done.
I just had one more.
Okay, and then I'm gonna go to Mike, and it's saved me from having ask a lot of questions, because you guys have covered the bases. So go ahead.
Just last thing, you alluded to it, Joe, in your comment just now. But you've been talking about the village being a part of this. They are pursuing cityhood. If we were to come to an agreement, we become a district library, it includes the village, but then they at a point are successful in their pursuit of becoming a city. How does that affect the agreements at that time? Because obviously they would have a municipality change.
That sounds like a lawyer question.
Okay.
And all
Which
I'm
is
saying-
fair. That's
I
fair.
would
answer.
think that once you create the district, it's created, and whatever the municipalities are, like if you go to a charter township, which you could go to a charter township, or if the village goes to a city, the district library, if it were to pass and come into existence, you're already in it, whether you're A or B. They're already in it, whether they're A or B. And we wouldn't have to deal with any of that.
Gotcha.
So,
Is the
because we,
village a legal municipality?
yeah,
Yeah, they're their own entity. We don't,
yeah, they have their own charter.
yeah.
Okay.
That's a quirk that goes back to 1865. And as you know, I've done a lot of research in history, and I have been unable to figure out, I have a copy of the actual charter from 1865, and I don't know why they didn't become a city, because they could have very easily, but here we are.
All right.
Thank you both.
Mr. Mattson, you're done.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. McCann.
So the energy behind this impulse to become a district library is to expand services, or to be able to levy another millage, or both?
Well, if you expand services, you're gonna have to expand the money base. That's a given. On the other hand, we're currently at 1.31. Now, I don't know what a new agreement would do. But if let's say in the new agreement, they say okay, we all agree to 1 mil. Okay, everybody in Holly Township, Village of Holly would get a break because we're at 1.31.
Well, what else unlocks at the district library? What does that mean? What does that rank give you?
It could bring you up, it could bring you into state aid. You could get state aid from that. You have greater access to other kinds of resources, library resources, that kind of stuff. And it would enable you to, and actually, the way I look at it as services and the ability to have representation. It seems kind of odd to me that Groveland and Rose don't have any representation, and I've heard from Rose and Groveland people that is kind of a concern of theirs. So a district library would even all of that out, and it would expand our pool. It would bring in more money. It would enable us to do more things. We put most of our money right back into programming or into staff, so that's what we would do. These other townships would get more services than they are now.
Okay.
Did that answer it?
Yep, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, then I'll take my turn. So the membership numbers, I appreciated that. The expiration, that was something I had on the list. You had mentioned earlier that Groveland and Rose pay $2. Are they paying $2 per membership card, or are they paying $2 against per number of population?
Per number of population, based on
Yes.
the last census,
Okay.
their last reported data.
Have you done any math to see how that purports to what we're paying in Holly Township? In other words, the amount of money collected from the 1.3 million divided by the residents, that would tell us that we're paying how much per resident in Holly.
Divide that by 12. I'm no good at math.
I have done that in the past, I could certainly get those numbers for you, it's very disproportionate.
Well, but I'm just saying, as opposed to talking in generalities, if you're standing there talking and you can give specifics and say, we're paying this much, they're paying that much, that makes a difference
Yeah.
in telling the story. Okay,
Well-
that was there.
In all honesty, they were paying $1, and that goes back to the 70s. Way back to the 70s when they first contracted with them, it was $1, and we just bumped that up a couple of years ago to $2. So,
Okay, so the question's been asked a couple of times, and I was making notes. of what was the energy behind going for district library. And what I heard you say tonight in different spots was expansion of services, and in order to do that, we need more money, so that equates spreading the millage out across a greater district, if you will. You also said it's in response to cityhood and the fear of being taken over by another.
I didn't say those words.
I wrote them down as you said them.
I didn't say fear of cityhood or anything. I just did, but I didn't.
Okay.
We are unsure, I don't mean to expand on this. If, for example, I don't have a position on this as library director. If, for example, the village of Holly became the city of Holly and was no longer part of Holly Township, none of the residents of the city of Holly would have access to the library unless we made a contract or a millage with them. So that is a concern. And again, I'm not political, I don't know where all that's going, but we have to remember that we are a township library, and any other entities have to enter into agreements or contract with us.
All right. That takes me to my last question. And actually, this question came into my office by a resident, and I thought it was a pretty interesting question. For however long the library has been its separately elected library board, it's been a Holly Township library. The taxpayers have put money in, and this library and its services have been built on that money paid by Holly Township, along with some subsequent money paid by both Groveland and Rose Township. In the event that it becomes a district library, would residents, who then becomes the owner of that building that was paid for by Holly Township residents, along with the little portions paid by, and I say little because you're telling me that the portions by Groveland and Rose are a smaller entity than what Holly's paid into. I don't even know if you have that answer, but I thought it was an interesting question. Pardon?
$24,000.
24,000 what?
No,
I know that.
Okay.
I meant the answer to the question of the equity in that current library, for all it's worth, belongs to Holly Township. Once it becomes a district, what happens to the equity that was paid for by Holly Township dollars?
That, if they agreed, if the board agreed, that would be part of the negotiation process of the new library district committee, because yes, the assets have to be transferred to a new entity. So
Okay, that was just a question that came up, and I thought it was I didn't have an answer for it, but I said I will ask it. So that was a question people were looking for. All right. Mr. Mishler, Mr.
Hayes.
George, come on, George.
Greg.
No, I know it's Greg. I don't.
Hayes.
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 Hayes. I'm sorry. I call him Greg every day. I haven't said his last name. Sorry. All right. Mr.
Thank
Mishler,
you very much.
Mr.
Thank you.
Hayes, thank you.
We appreciate coming
Thank you
by.
both.
Here
Next time you come through the library, I'm going to refer to you as Mr. Hayes, so I can help learn that. Sorry.
When will that be?
I said when you come through.
You said through the library.
Hey, shh. You don't need to help. This young lady can't resist throwing me under the bus at every opportunity she has. All right. After presentation, we'll go to reports. On trustees, I'll start with Mr. McCanny. I think I go back and forth every month. I try to
Yeah.
remember.
I don't know where you start and where you end, but yeah, that's the goal.
But I try to go back and forth. So we'll get on to Mr. McCanny.
The only interesting thing is the planning commission's taking a look at their guidelines, how they operate, what's what. The interesting thing that popped out was they're going to add some training in, requirement for a couple hours of training every year. So that was kind of interesting. And then we're still going through that and finding the does and should be withs and dotting on the i's and crossing the t's. But other than that, it was a pretty good meeting.
Okay. Mr. Mattson.
It may be part of your report, but just a question I don't see, obviously, on this agenda, what we tabled or postponed last meeting as far as the property and its commercial use, so I was just
Yeah.
wondering if you'll have an
And-
update with
Yeah, I
that.
was gonna report on that.
Okay, all
Actually,
right.
you're correct, and just from a technical standpoint, it should have been on the agenda for us to go ahead and postpone for another month, only because it was said that it would
Well,
be
he-
on this one.
Well, he asked for it not to be.
Yeah, but to stay congruent with motions, it should show up, and then we say it's been asked to hold it back, and we postpone it again. Just a technical vibe there. Is that it, Mr. Mattson?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Ms. Ryan?
Just a reminder that property taxes are due this month or they go to the county.
Specific date?
The last day to pay, because the last day of February is on a weekend, the last day you can pay is March 2nd.
March 2nd. Okay. All right. Ms. Winchester?
Yes, so recent events. So, the applicant for the Dixie Highway rezoning, with consideration, talking to the planner, listening to the board and its concerns about the C1, C2, he has chosen to put this on hold and so he can do further research and decide how he wants to move forward.
Okay.
Okay?
Is that it for you?
Yep, that's it.
Mr. Burton?
Okay, so I just wanted to bring some things up. I know she goes to the village sometimes, but tomorrow there's a blood drive at the Calvary Church, February 19th. When I looked before I came in, there were 13 spots available. And it's with an organization, I don't know if it's Versity or Versati. But the cool thing about this organization is that the blood stays in Michigan. So like when you give to the Red Cross, which I'm not saying is a bad thing that it goes to other places, but the Red Cross, it goes, wherever it goes. With this organization, that blood stays in Michigan, so the individuals who need it in Michigan receive that. So obviously they need as much blood as we can get, just for those who need it in Michigan. So to make a reservation, you can either call 866-642-5663 or 810-265-4224. And then next meeting, I should have a range of dates of the upcoming meetings. And I will say the great thing about these two, in addition to saving other lives, is they have Lorna Dunes. There for a snack afterwards, and those are delicious.
They are.
So,
And that program is run by Ellen
Ellen,
Pease.
yes, and she does a
she's
great
done it
job.
for quite a long time and does a
Yep.
good job.
Yep.
It's kind of fun when you go in, you have to answer a bunch of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I always get a kick. They always ask me if I have anybody pay me for sex, and reluctantly I have to say no. But it's a tough world out there. What can I say? I just always laugh when I hit that question.
yep.
All right, Mr. Kinnaman.
Nothing.
Nothing. All right. I've got several things to report on here. I'm going to pass these out, and then I'll read what this is, but you guys can look at the numbers as they come out. This is University of Michigan College of Business. It says, thank you for your participation in the University of Dearborn's 2025 E-Cities program. Each year, the cities project.
I didn't know if they'd be one short. Sorry, we had an extra over here, and I
okay.
thought they might be one short, so.
That's been the copy that stays with me. So each year, the E-Cities project collects and analyzes data across Michigan communities as it relates to the entrepreneurship, economic development, and job growth. Specifically, the study examines 5 years' worth of publicly available data relating to community growth and investment metrics that impact the business community. This information is available on the performance report and showcases your community's progress on a number of key values. Further, the data points are benchmarked against the state of Michigan as well as 276 other participating communities, allowing you to easily interpret your results. Award certificates are included for communities that showed the most success numerically over the last 5 years. Top performers are considered 5-star communities, while the next best performers are considered 4-star communities. This survey comes to me, I fill it out, it's quite extensive. Usually with interruptions and so forth, it takes me a couple of days, but I wanted everybody to know that we are a 5-star community in our growth and with the things we are accomplishing. So I did receive that letter, and I wanted to share that with the board. That being said, the topic of Riverside North, we are still working with the developer to get that project done. Through our attorney, I had reached out to the homeowners association, and one of the issues for the developer is the trees that are required to be in there based on the site plan. Because this is such an unusual circumstance, and the fact that this subdivision's taken over 20 years to develop, and there have been different builders and different developers along the way, one of the concerns was, and it came from Eric Fair in one of our meetings, you remember, he said, the residents don't care about the trees. Well, from a legal standpoint, the township was concerned that while you may have people telling you they don't want the trees, it would only take one other person to say, where's my tree, and you have a problem. So through the attorney and through the HOA, they put a survey out to the residents that don't, some trees were planted, but some were not. So they put a survey out to the residents, and it came back, 55% of the respondents would like street trees planted in front of their property, and obviously the other 45% don't. So we are working with the developer. It's been recommended that he go to the ZBA, because we don't have the authority to waive that through the planning commission. It's part of the site plan, but they can go to the ZBA, present the information, and that will save us from ending up in somebody's front yard that's standing there going, I don't want your tree. You plant it, and he pulls it out 5 minutes later. So we are working with them, trying to get this thing resolved. There are two other properties in the subdivision that have either put landscape or a fence in a building in the area where the sidewalk belongs, which means they're outside of their property line. And the management company for the HOA is working with those property owners to get that remedied. I am hoping that through our attorney and through all this legwork we've done, that we can get some kind of a resolution in time so that when spring comes, we can get these sidewalks in and these trees in, and those residents can be happy, and it's off of our table. The attorney said to me the other day, we've gone back and forth so many times, that she said, I don't think I've ever spent more time on an issue that it should be a non-issue. Also, we were dealing with, he labeled himself as a consultant in the beginning, and you've heard us mention in meetings that that was part of the problem based on the information he was giving the developer. As we got involved in this, we showed some of the paperwork to our attorney, and she turned, that person previously was an attorney, has his license suspended, is working as a consultant, but the work he does is lawyer-esque. It's all legally put together, and that was presented to the bar, and their decision came back that they were going to send it to legal to take action against that individual. And I only bring that up because it's been mentioned here before, and it has been a thorn in our side, because in meetings we've had with them trying to resolve this over the past years, he would sit there and go, look, I used to be a lawyer, I know what I'm talking about. And according to the bar, that's kind of like practicing law. So there is some action taken there as well. And I wanted to report that to the board. I know it's been sticky, it's been frustrating for the residents. We've been accused of not doing anything, but we have been doing. Karen carried the ball in the first couple of years dealing with that individual. Then I got involved, and when they came to me, I've been working with Karen, we've been working with the attorney. Let's hope this is movement in the right direction. The next thing we need to see is for the developer to come to the ZBA. Through the ZBA would have the opportunity with this information to approve the change toward the site plan, or if they were to deny it, then it would go back to court, and then we could at least work on a consent agreement through the court that would allow this to get fixed. So let's hope we're on the right path. The last thing I want to report, they're not here this evening, I don't believe. The folks from Whistle Stop Lane That's neither of you, no. This was the issue. The home behind them is the group home where the gentleman came at night and was trying to get into the house. And we had said we had reached out to the state. We finally got an answer from them. And there's paperwork, and it talks about, Karen wasn't able to talk on it that night because she didn't have it with her. I brought a copy tonight. I was going to give it to them if they were here because it's foiable and it gives them all the explanation. But it does say here that it's a temporary license with a maximum capacity of 6 issued. Now we're trying to figure out who comes and checks on the capacity. Working with the state has not been easy, and I think I can safely say that across the board. It's just been so frustrating. We're having issues with Eagle as well. The last part of my report is regarding Eagle and the farmstead. We are trying to get the permit from Eagle to build the gazebo on the farmstead on the southern end of the property based on the site plan that we put together. It is in a flood zone, a 10-foot portion of a flood zone. And they have now asked for, with everything that HRC has submitted, they've asked for a 100-year floodplain plan to be submitted. And when I asked what the purpose of that was, they weren't able to tell us, which means you're going to go out with the gun and shoot, but you don't know what you're shooting at. It makes no sense. I then asked them, can you give me an example of 100, and this is in conjunction with HRC, can you give us an example of what you need in that plan? And a month and a half later, we don't have the answer to that. Now, this is all about a gazebo in a flood plan, not a home, not a business, a platform with a roof. Nobody's going to be out there when it's raining. Nobody's going to get close to it when it's flooding because you won't be able to walk there unless you put on waders. But this is what we're going through with Eagle. In the meantime, you can't get them to hold a town meeting regarding the Falk Road dump to answer questions for people. I just say that because it is so disappointing and frustrating all at the same time. That being said, I'll move on to public comment. Public comment on agenda items only. Members of the public can address the board on agenda items only, once recognized by the supervisor. Comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. The board may extend this time by a majority vote. Prior to addressing the board, members of the public shall state their name and address for the record. A second public comment is available after new business for all other comments. Thank you for your cooperation. We have nothing under old business. That other issue is postponed moving forward until something happens. Under new business, first item is setting of
We
the.
actually
just
do
went
the
right
public
past.
comment.
Yeah, you read public comment but didn't offer it.
Oh. So does anybody want to talk? Oh, sure, just make me look bad. I'm sorry, come on. I'm trying to move things along here.
You're doing a great job. Just roll right on through.
Okay, I'm sorry.
James Gross, 11523 Dixie Highway. I came here tonight just as, spectate as a member of, the public for, part of our local government. And come to find out that we're putting a moratorium out there. And I think that that's really a great thing for the people of Holly Township, that the board has the foresight to put that in place to protect the interests of the people. I was at the Planning Commission meeting last week, and I spoke to some of the concerns that I've come into and voiced that, we should do our best to protect the people of Holly. And the diagnostic review of the zoning ordinances is a place where that can happen, right? So, and the residents primarily, right? You don't want I just wanted to say I appreciate seeing that moratorium, and I hope that with forethought and careful review that we're able to stay strong as far as some of these emerging technologies that want to, kind of steamroll some of these smaller municipalities.
Well, and I hope you stay through the end of the meeting because you'll hear some more information on that when we get there. You'll understand why it's on here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Oh, come on, I backed up for you now, come on. All right, now I'll go there. Number 100, new business. Are we good? Okay. The setting of the spring and fall cleanup. I don't have those dates tonight. I want to make a motion to postpone this till next month. I'm trying to coordinate for NACFA. NACFA serves both Holly Township and Rose Township, and the firefighters help on those days. And a couple of years back, for whatever reason, we used to have our cleanups a week apart, and somebody got bumped forward or backward, and we ended up on the same Saturday. Well, it ends up spreading the fire department thin, because they've got to be able to answer calls, help them, help us, and it's been a problem. So I'm trying to coordinate with the companies and the townships so we can get our dates separated, which will help with those that help us. So I'm hoping by next month we'll have that. So I make a motion to postpone. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Kinnaman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion clears. Next, guidelines for poverty exemption, proposed resolution 2026-03. Are you taking that?
I can, but Karen actually did a lot more work with Ben than
Is
I
that
Yeah.
yours?
Well, I guess it can be,
Okay,
yes.
go ahead.
So, these are amendments to the previously approved, resolution. And there's a new bulletin out by the state of Michigan. So some of the, like the percentages of the exemptions are required now. There's some testing, there's a maximum amount of, allowable assets that are included, and just some other miscellaneous things to make it a better resolution.
Okay. I will add to that, I sat through the training last week for Board of Review, and I think in there, do you show 25, 50, and
Yes.
75%? Just so you know, I am sorry. I use so much oxygen to get my voice out that sometimes it catches up with me. Some of the communities by resolution, and they can do it in the townships, have broken that down to be at 10% increments. So once all of the calculation can be done, it can be at 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, whatever. I think at this point, I would leave that up to our assessing folks to tell us if they feel we need to expand the
Change,
way we
yeah.
look at that. But I did want the board to know that
But
can be.
so it's minimum,
Yeah, this is, but it can be broken down further than that. So that was one of the interesting things I picked up. Are there any other questions?
So this is kind of like a state change that it seemed like
Some
there
of
was
it
a greater,
was,
yeah, because I
yes.
thought, while I was on, I thought it was a pretty fair system, and it was Oakland County system, and worked with them as far as has the poverty, like, dollar amount changed?
So
What, like the income level?
Yes,
I
it
think
does
we
every
changed it.
year.
Yeah.
So this is adopting them as amended every year, so it doesn't have to come to you every year for adoption. But the rules, like the 25, 50, 75, and 100, those are required by the state now.
Got it.
So, just one of these was alarming to me, and I don't know if this has to be in there, but it is part of the inclusion of somebody's assets being also their stocks or mutual funds.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
part of the,
Okay, so that has to be
it
in there.
has to be in
Yeah.
there.
See, because if you have a 60-year-old who has 60,000 in retirement, which isn't much, they have no liquid cash, they're screwed. Pretty much.
Well, part of the reason they broke this down, and they talked about it at the Board of Review, what if you've got somebody that comes in and wants to claim poverty level, but they own 240 acres? And they've got all these assets. Should the rest of the community be covering the taxes for the whole property? That's where the 10% or the 20% that the breakdown can come into. Because, you know, are they really at a I am sorry. are they really at a poverty level when they have
Right.
that much?
Right. I understand. I
Right,
feel
so
like if,
identifying real poverty.
right, exactly. I feel if you're gonna work that hard, there's probably 5 people that fall in the opposite, like that one person. Like I'd rather let them slide than punish the other 5 who literally couldn't afford it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I mean, if that's what it has to be, then I guess that is what it is.
Yep, it's
Well,
part of their
the
bulletin.
unfortunate thing is, and this is what I've found, is as we work through this, there are always things that come to the forefront that are well-intended to help those people that truly need help. And then as you're sitting there, you find out someone else that slides in and qualifies, but when you look at the bigger picture, you go, okay, wait a minute. You know, I'm over here paying my taxes, and you guys have more money than I do when you add up assets.
Right.
So, they're trying to get some of that worked out. Sorry about that. All right, Chair would entertain a motion to approve the proposed resolution 2026-03.
I move to approve.
So moved by Winchester. Support
Support.
by Mattson. Any further questioning? Roll call, please.
Before, I just want to say is that we're required to have these guidelines by the state of Michigan. Okay.
And in time for the Board of Review, which comes up
Which
next
is,
month.
yeah. in March, yep. Okay. So, Richard Kinnaman,
Yes.
Mike McCanny,
Yes.
Ryan Mattson,
Yes.
Derek Burton,
Yes.
Jennifer Ryan,
Yes.
Karen Winchester, yes, George Cullis.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Next, on the, under new business, is the 2025 Planning Commission Annual Report. Is that you or Mr. McKinney?
Hi, Mike.
Mr. Mike?
Yes, please find in your packets the 2025 annual planning report. We did a very good job. I must pat ourselves on the back. We had missed almost no meetings. I think we might have missed one for no activity. The Planning Commission is working very well together. There are no arguments or hurt feelings or any type of fighting on the board. Actually, I think it's a pretty well stitched together board. We have people have lots of experience and been on for a long time. We have new people just starting, and we're starting to train them up. And I think they're going to be having their eyes opened, and I'm going to have my eyes open too with this ordinance review and seeing what's actually out in the ordinances and the crisscrossings of it. But yeah, we've had a pretty productive year, and it's all in the paperwork.
A question, if I may, with what you just mentioned. Are there differing opinions, do you find, and everyone's working well together? Or do you find that most of everything is consensus and just moves along? You said everyone's working well together, but are there differing views to have good discussion around the topics that have come up?
Yeah, we have a couple of them are pretty large landowners, so they have an interesting perspective. I'm in the village, I have a very interesting perspective, but there's no, I always vote against you type situation on the board. We're all getting together, getting along rather well.
Okay.
I think it's a productive board.
Awesome.
In the good sense, not like a bad cough, but a
Now,
productive board.
are we receiving this, or do we need to approve?
Accepting it.
But we have to vote to accept it?
Mhm.
Okay. So then the Chair would entertain a motion to accept the 2025 Planning Commission Annual Report. Is there support, or
I'll make the motion.
so moved by Kinnaman? Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mattson. Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Oh, you can do
You can do a voice.
no roll call.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Amendment to Policies and Procedures, Proposed Resolution 2026-04. This one mine?
That's you.
Okay, we have, as you look at it, we have a policy on the books that says no alcohol allowed in the township hall. What I'm asking to amend it is that has been a good amendment. However, we do from time to time have charities that are trying to raise money. They may have a basket they're auctioning off, and that might have a wine bottle in it, it might have alcohol. What I want to change that to is to say no consumption of alcohol in the township hall. The cold weather was out here. The hospitality tent for Dickens was here. They were concerned about things freezing. It would be against the policy to bring that case of wine and set it in the door to keep it from freezing. There's a difference between what I think the intent was. We don't want people drinking in the township hall. We don't want that going on. But that's why I'd like to amend that part of the ordinance, just so that it's clear.
I don't think there should be alcohol in the township hall at all. I think the optics are really bad. Just my opinion.
Another point of this I find interesting. A few meetings ago, we were talking about utilizing our soon-to-be township hall space potentially for like the renting the office space out or allowing, different
As a community
organizations,
room?
whatever, in there while we're not using it especially. And the first sentence of this says that township-owned facilities, equipment, assets strictly limited to township board, its associated boards, commissions, committees, and employees for township business only. So
when we get to that point, we will have to write a whole.
amend this again.
Yeah, we'll have to amend this. And at the same time, just to give you an example, when the Michigan Historic Preservation Network came and had their conference in Holly, they wanted a place to have a VIP, a reception for their donors that help pay for this stuff. And when they came to Holly, we looked at the venue, we looked at a couple of places, and they wanted to have it here because of the historic value of this building. So we tried to convince them that a couple other places, and they said they really want to have it here. So we came to the board at that time, and the board approved special permission for that night, and they had a reception up here. This had turned into a buffet table, and there were probably 75 people.
It was packed.
It was a real nice evening. There were presentations made. Everybody had a nice time. It was a special event. It was a one-time deal. But the board made the decision to allow it or not to allow it. So in regards to this, I don't think this means that alcohol is going to be sitting around. But if there's a basket being auctioned off or something like when the Dickens was here that could help, because I was involved in that, it's that kind of thing.
So I get both arguments, George, what you're saying, and Karen, what you've mentioned. So could we do something similar where it says that shall not be permitted unless strictly allowed by the board for approval or whatever else, so that if we know when these events are coming and if there is going to need to be use of this building for that we could have it come prior to us and allow for X amount of gift baskets of unopened, whatever, to be in the building for. That way, I think it alleviates Karen's concern that, anyone on staff, administration, whatever, could just pick
Well,
up
yeah.
their whatever and keep it in the building, of course, not consume it, but like.
Right, so then there would have to be policies for this policy, because who's it open to? Anybody,
Right.
really.
So that'd be my recommendation, is kind of blend both of your, what you're hoping to achieve, I believe.
Anyone else?
I'm okay with the change, it's fine. From permitted, or from not permitted to consumed. It's a process issue, it's not a party issue, it's a process issue.
And I think by not putting in any wording about exception doesn't generally open that up to it being abused as coming, but anything that we have can be, as a policy, can be brought to us for exemption. You know, it doesn't have to be in writing that we can do an exemption. I think we can, and that keeps it a little bit more solid, that you're not going, but there is a way around this. You're just saying it's not gonna be here. You know,
If it becomes an issue, you just change it again.
right?
We can't, so we're getting in trouble as we're trying to figure out and write down common sense. And then you're just gonna get into these Dewey loops of, you know, what happens if a helicopter crashes at the same time? And we're shooting down, it's like, you know, you're gonna get into these things and it's just like, no, we're trying to accommodate and move and make sure it's like covering things as they occur. And if it doesn't work, well, we'll just change it again. It's just paper, we just change it.
Yeah, but you know, the
Till it
real
works.
fact is that.
Then after it works really
town-
good, we can sell it. Oh, no, sorry.
The real thing here is the key fact that public property should not be used for private purposes. And obviously, any kind of those things are private purposes that we're storing private people's stuff in public facility. If you open up for one, you have to open it up for everybody. So if I need space for my case of wine for a week, then I get to do that. You can't pick, and we talked about this with the attorney, you can't pick and choose who you let do this. If you're doing it for one, you have to open it up for everybody.
Okay.
And so this is basically a private purpose is why we're changing the policy, in my opinion.
Well, I can see your aspect in it, but I don't agree. I think the change is fine. I can see your point, but I don't think this is not letting in public and private mixing. And that, again, that's gonna get into a pedantic argument over public and private. And we can run down that road. We get a bunch of dictionaries and start looking up definitions of words, and if we want to bring in the bar cards and start arguing over laws and stuff, we can do that too. But I think it's a simple change, just to have the government actually serve in situations people that need help.
Well, and there is, while it does talk about public property being only for public property, it also talks about if it's groups that serve the community and serve that. And I don't know how black and white you want to get, but at some point, do you say, we go down to the bulletin board and pull all the papers off that are posted for events in the community?
Yeah.
Because they're not specifically township events? I'm not trying to make a big deal out of this. I just thought this would make it a little easier, because charities happen. The village has auctioned off and sold bottles of wine when they were raising money for fireworks, and they were raising money for a couple of other projects. And I just thought, to have somebody walk into with a bottle for whatever that reason is and have that become an issue, when I felt that the true meaning and purpose of this was to not have drinking going on in the township office. So that's why it has to have it put on the,
I also think that changing it to consumed more closely aligns with the last sentence in that paragraph as well.
and that sentence is,
The sentence is, some individuals or organizations using township facilities are responsible for ensuring that alcoholic beverages are not served or otherwise made available during their use of the facilities, which is, even otherwise made available is still the idea of serving.
right.
It's not,
Well, and that's why I just wanted to, I felt it
And-
cleared up the ordinance to do what it meant to do.
and I don't think it means that we're replacing Rocky, in the township hall either. I think that is clearly put in here. I think it's, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-04, amendment to the township policies and procedures.
Okay, motion by Kinnaman, is there support?
Support.
Support by McCanny. Any further questions?
So I guess just to go on to further discussion here.
Sure.
So this has me thinking now about how I do kind of like that addition of the wording, because now say group A has their alcohol in here, now we would want to add that the township would not be liable in case something happens to said alcohol. So there has to be some kind of agreement in place, I think, if we're going to allow outside groups, is just my 2 cents. As I'm thinking about this more, because now I'm looking at it that way of liability. If this never comes to us, a group just decides to put something in here, all the glass bottles break and shatter. Say they have $1,000 worth of items there. And what if they now say, well, the township didn't keep it properly heated and stored, and now all my alcohol shattered?
Makes sense.
I think it's the helicopter story.
I do, but I mean, you gotta protect yourself here.
I'll be honest, I didn't really have a strong opinion one way or the other. I pretty much feel like nobody's going to abuse it either way, but I do appreciate that comment. I do think, I mean, even as something as simple as, like you said, it's freezing outside and we put all the Dickens wine inside your office so that it doesn't get, whatever. Anything happens to it, the building's heat turns off and now it's frozen anyway, whatever. Who's responsible for that?
Or the flip side, if it was so cold and now you put it in a warm building and all
Right,
of a
and it
sudden you have
explodes.
glass, so you're gonna have an issue, yeah.
So I think I have no problem it being stored in here, just so long as we all agree, I guess, and are made aware, and there's some kind of agreement or some kind of thing.
So if we at your own risk.
Perfect.
So, yep, and I think that starts to fall in this other policy that we are looking at on use of the facilities and what kind of agreement or form has to be filled out and agreed to with that affects any of this, if whether you're, quote unquote, renting a room for an event or you're needing to set something in the building, you're still using the space, and here's the form you need to fill out for that.
And the
And
whole
I,
harmless agreement.
right, and that's all coming, I think. So rather than make this muddy, let's fix a word and be sure of what we are doing with the facility use, procedure and forms.
Excuse me, Mr. Mishler? I just let you know it is up here if you need it. Okay. Did you want to amend the motion to put at your own risk on the resolution?
Okay.
Oh, at your own risk in the resolution?
I would have to know where the correct spot.
Well, wait a minute, wasn't
doesn't-
it Mr. Kinnaman and Mr. McCanny that made the motion?
Yeah, but anybody can amend it.
Okay,
We
I
have to
keep getting
vote on
that
the amendment
confused, yeah, I'm
separate.
sorry, you're right, I apologize.
If
They
you're
would
gonna-
have to withdraw though first,
No.
right?
No,
No, you just add what you want to add. We vote on that separately, then it goes back to the original.
Isn't it easier just to withdraw and then start over?
I don't know why, it's procedure. That's why they allow motions to be
Okay.
amended.
I feel like you'd need a whole nother sentence if you're gonna
Yeah.
add something
I
like
do
that. It
too.
doesn't
I'm
really
trying to
fit
fit
into
this
the
in.
current paragraph. It would
It
be just a
doesn't.
sentence
I
of,
wouldn't withdraw it because I don't think the sentence is necessary at this point.
So it's just a matter of whether you want to
So-
amend it.
Let's see here. Consumed on township premises, allowed use of storage for alcoholic beverages shall be at the risk of the individual storing. Individual or entity
Rightful
storing.
owner,
What's that?
rightful owner.
There you
Maybe
go.
we should have the attorney draft the language with the understanding of what the board wants.
We don't have anything coming right away that's wanting to do this, right?
No, it's just, these issues have happened in the past, and I got written up for it a couple of years back, and then somebody walks in and they've got some auction baskets and they're working on them. And I said, I think the true intention of the rule was to not be drinking at the township hall. But if you've got somebody that's working for the community and trying to do something, and they walk in the door, I mean, they were selling wine one here, and Jerry Walker walked in with the wine bottles that they had, that they were selling, and Mark chased him right out because it wasn't allowed to be in the building. You know, I mean, it was just that kind of stuff. It's what I would say is fairly an innocent issue, but at the time I discussed it with Karen and putting it on the agenda, she didn't voice any opposition to it, so I was kind of surprised tonight when she did. I thought we were on the same page, but it's okay, it's where we are.
Just thought about it after, and
So we have a motion and a second and a potential amendment happening. So what are we doing?
So I added those sentences that I haven't got a clue what I said. I said at risk of the, and then you said,
Rightful owner.
yeah. Storage of alcohol will remain at risk and be responsible to the rightful owner.
Not to make the waters more muddy, but since this is just the facility policy in general, I wonder if we should just have something in here in general that if there's ever personal property on
That's
the,
what I just-
on the facilities, I mean, even in my own stuff, sometimes,
Right.
you know, I'm picking something up at lunch and I just leave it in the office until I leave at the end of the day, like, that's my responsibility, not the township's responsibility.
Well,
So maybe there
I
should
think
be a
that's a good
sentence in
idea.
our
But you
facility
don't
policy
even need,
altogether.
you don't even need that, because from an insurance company standpoint, if something were to the building burns down, you run out and you left it here, that goes back to your own homeowner's insurance.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in general, if there's
don't
anything
think
on
so.
here that's, any organization, any person or organization leaves in the building, the township's not responsible for it. That might be a better sentence to have in our policy to begin with.
right.
But I think that goes in the other policy that is needing to come.
No.
Yeah, but I don't see us finishing that policy until we really know what the building looks like and how we're going to
It'd be 2
use
years,
it.
yeah.
Yep.
So I would think, I mean, it's not urgent, we haven't had any issues, but having that sentence in the policy for this building,
It should,
for anything.
any, right.
It doesn't even have to be alcohol, anything
Well,
someone's for
it
some
could be the
reason leaving here.
farmstead, so any of the facilities.
Right.
Okay, so as I'm reading this, that last sentence is what is getting everything just messed up. Because it says right here, use of township-owned facilities, equipment, and assets are strictly limited to the township board, its associated boards, commission, committees, and employees for township business only. That does not mean any outside entities. So I think then an outside entity would have to come here, the way this is written, to be approved.
Mm-hmm, I agree.
So we just spent 20 minutes and we didn't, outside entities are not allowed to, the way I'm reading this anyway.
Correct.
I don't know why that last sentence even exists, to be honest with you, because individuals or organizations using township facilities, according to this first sentence, aren't even allowed to do so.
Correct.
So we would have to vote.
So that should be
So
struck. to
I will
begin with.
withdraw my amendment. And I will roll it, or we can strike the last sentence.
I would
'cause-
strike the last sentence.
They kind of compete with one another.
Mm-hmm, they do.
So are you saying strike the last sentence but keep consumed?
Yeah, I'm fine with the consume part.
Okay.
That works.
So when did that part get added, that last sentence?
It's been there for,
April
Long
4th,
time.
1972.
So actually, I guess I will make an amendment to strike the last sentence.
Well, doesn't the last sentence actually just confirm what we're saying? Alcoholic beverages shall not be consumed on the township premises.
Right.
Individuals and organizations using the facilities are responsible for
It
ensuring.
has to do with the individuals
Or
and organizations
which are
don't fit in the only category up at the top.
Yeah.
right.
So the
Which-
first sentence says only township and or organizations or employees, and then the bottom sentence says anybody, basically, can ensure that alcohol is not served. So they just contradict each other.
So you're saying, yeah, so you're, okay, so what you're saying is, actually, what you're saying is, we either need to eliminate the last one or the first one.
Right. I would say the last one, and then just have anything outside of this would then come for special approval.
Yep.
Okay.
So I will make I will amend
The
to
motion.
strike the last sentence. Individuals or organizations using township facilities are responsible for ensuring that alcoholic beverages are not served or otherwise made available during their use of the facilities.
Is there support?
Support.
Sorry. Burton Ryan.
Could I offer you a different change that doesn't take the entire thing out, but just take out the individuals or organizations?
So we have an amendment to the amendment?
Yeah,
Don't
I
do
can't,
it.
we couldn't hear what you said.
it's because I'm negotiating with him,
So what do you looking
and
for?
just change it to say anyone using township facilities.
At which sentence?
Just take out individuals or organizations and just say anyone using
But
township
what
facilities.
purpose does that serve? It says nobody can
Right.
consume it anyway.
Right.
Well,
That's why I said it, it's pretty much backs up
It-
the word consume.
I think
not
it
consume.
clarifies. It's a clarifying sentence. It's not a, you know,
I think it was probably there because the word used to be that alcohol is not permitted on the premises, so you have to make sure no one's drinking it. But now we're saying alcohol can't be drunk on
Consumed.
the premises, so therefore it already addresses that. That's probably why it was there before.
I
I
actually,
don't care.
I actually like Trustee Kinnaman's thought, changing individuals or organizations to anyone. That works for me too.
Because that still applies to that whole list at the top,
Correct.
you know, and it, like I say, it's a clarifying sentence of the consumed or permitted, whatever, you know, it's a clarification sentence.
So it sounds like we have a Kinnaman amendment with support from Supervisor Cole.
Well, do we need to approve the First Amendment first, and then we
No.
can make more amendments?
No, the last
We're
amendment-
amending the amendment.
The last amendment gets approved first.
It's always the ones I don't think that we're just gonna just. I'm not gonna.
Or
Right.
you can say you're
So
going
t-
to
so
amend
to-
your,
Well, I don't understand it 100%, so that's why I'm letting you guys have your anyone's.
Okay, so the amendment basically says, and it's the first question, do we want to allow the last sentence and just change it from individuals and organizations? Change that to the word anyone. That's the motion.
It's Richard Kinnaman's,
It's Kinnaman's motion, my
Amendment.
support,
okay.
and just take a roll call.
If
So
we
we're
say
clear.
no, do we then do Derek's?
Yeah.
I don't know,
Revert
okay.
back to mine.
Okay.
Okay,
If
so,
we say yes to this, we change it. If we say no, then we go to Derek's.
right.
So, explain to me the anyone, because I'm having a hard time understanding the anyone part.
Your
Well-
Well, I understand the part. I'm just the verbiage of how.
I don't understand how it's any different than the sentences right now.
Well, now it'll say anyone using township facilities are responsible for ensuring that alcohol beverages are not served or otherwise made available
Is-
during their use of the facilities.
Is that purpose to take liability off the township?
That
Does it
pur-
basically say, it's not our responsibility to make sure there's not someone in the bathroom drinking alcohol?
Right.
That it's that own person's responsibility to make sure that no
It's
one's
taking out individuals and organizations,
Right.
is what we're saying. And
Any-
the anyone applies to the people in the first sentence.
Right.
Only. Because that's the only. The only people
Well,
allowed
But the
to use
residents
the.
use the facilities all the time. They're not renting it, but they come in, they pay taxes, they go to the bathroom. They shouldn't be drinking alcohol in here either.
Right, that's why it says anyone.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it
Yeah,
doesn't just
but-
refer to the employees, and it
yeah.
takes the responsibility off of us, that we don't have to monitor if people coming in here are
Correct.
drinking alcohol.
Yep. Okay? So do
So
roll
what-
call so we know where the vote goes.
Richard Kinnaman,
Yes.
Derek Burton.
Yes.
Michael McCanny,
Yes.
Jennifer Ryan.
Yes,
Karen Winchester, no. Ryan Matson,
No.
George Cullis.
Yes. So the amendment passes 5-2. Then we go back to,
It passed, so
Yeah, it
there's
passed,
no
we're done.
more.
pardon?
Yeah, it passed, so there's no more.
Right. So then we go back to the
The original.
motion by Kinnaman McCanny to now pass the resolution as amended.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
were we voting on
don't-
approving the amendment? I thought we were just voting on the.
No, we approved the amendment.
Oh,
It's confusing.
this
I
is,
understand.
that's why I was
Yes.
hoping to withdraw
So-
and just start over. That's the reason.
That's okay, it passed.
It
So
passed.
Just
we
do the
can
same
move
roll
on.
call.
Now we vote on
The
the
resolution.
resolution as amended.
Okay.
And was that the original motion then?
That's,
Yes.
that's the original motion that talks about going with consumed, but it has been amended to take and put the word anyone in there.
And that was the one that
That's the vote
Mike
we just took.
McCanny,
No.
No.
That's the one we're voting on now. Kinnaman McCanny.
The vote we just did was to
yeah,
say we like the
yeah,
amendment.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So the very first,
Motion.
okay,
Yes.
Yep.
I gotta do minutes and this is a real struggle.
I'll help you on it.
Yeah, I mean, we just voted for an amendment,
We're
and
just,
that's,
Amendment-
we're voting on the resolution
We're
now
voting
with
on the
that
resolution.
Yes,
amendment.
okay.
Right.
I
as
got
you
it.
voted, and we're taking out individuals and organizations and replacing.
Yeah,
with
no, I
anyone.
got that
Okay.
part.
That's what we're voting on here. So go ahead and do your roll call.
Okay, hang on. Right, Ryan Matson,
No.
Michael McCanny,
Yes.
Richard Kinnaman,
Yes.
Derek Burton,
Yes.
Jennifer Ryan,
Yes,
Karen Winchester, no, George Cullis.
Yes, motion carries 5-2. And I do say to this board, I appreciate being able to work on things when we don't all agree, and we do it civilly and get to an end result. One of the things that I have to say, and I know Karen's been here the longest, but in the 10 years that I've been here, I think we've got a wonderful board to work with. We've got some educated people that aren't afraid to ask questions. I think our planning commission is in a much better place than it was when I first came into office. Those arguments that you talk about did happen, and there was a lot of emotion involved in that earlier planning commission. And you get in trouble when emotion leads and you're not following the rules. And we got into trouble a couple of times, but we're in a good place now. All right. Next is the moratorium on the issuance of approvals or permits on data processing centers, proposed resolution 2026. Let me say this, the current ordinance that we are living with was put into place in 1992. Technology has changed, data centers are completely different from what they were back in 1992. It became apparent through the planner that our ordinance allowed for just about anything, and that's not what we want. And it just didn't address a modern-day data center with the IA and all of the stuff that, or AI and all the stuff that goes with it. So the moratorium is to allow the planner to take a step back, take a breath, and say, okay, let's look at the township, let's look what we want, and write a new one. Without the moratorium, they could come in tomorrow and go. So that's the reason for the moratorium. Does that make sense to you?
And the resolution was done by the attorney for White Lake, and then I revised the wording and sent it back to her to fit to Holly Township.
So the chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2026-04.
So moved.
Motion by Winchester, support.
Support.
Support by Burton. Any further questions?
I'm just glad to talk to a great deal about some different variety of issues: environmental, water impact, economic vitality,
Well, and
noise, light.
That's why it's so different today than it was in 1992.
Right. But just nice knowing that they're gonna be really diving into every single one of those issues, because we are a high rural area as far as the vast majority of the township.
And they're huge
For
facilities.
whatever reason, you know, they wanna clear cut 1,000 acres of trees as opposed to using already vacant industrial buildings or,
Brownfield,
you know,
yeah.
whatever else, so.
Can I make a clarification?
Sure.
Both of these resolutions, the one we just voted on and this one, both say 04.
Oh,
Oh, four.
Oh, so this would be
This should
05.
be 05.
Good catch, Richard.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
I was
Yep,
thinking,
we went from
didn't I
3 to
just
4 to
say
5.
Takes a
04?
village.
So you want to amend your
And
motion?
with that,
Yeah, we have to.
Oh, yeah, for it to say resolution 2026-05.
And I'll support that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not gonna make everybody, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion's
No.
amended.
Oh,
Now, we'll vote on the motion to approve resolution 2026-05. Roll call.
Karen Winchester, yes. Jennifer Ryan,
Yes,
Derek Burton,
Yes.
Richard Kinnaman,
Yes.
Michael McCanny,
Yes.
Ryan Mattson,
Yes.
George Cullis.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Why was she?
Oh, it was,
All right. That concludes new business. I'm gonna open up a second public comment.
Wordsmithing is one of my
Going once, twice.
things.
Then, if nobody has any other comments to make, we will look at adjourning the meeting at 8:22.
I don't know where the public comment went.